Hey guys, Ian Fernando here. Again, still stuck and quarantined here in New Jersey, and I decided to hit up one of my friends that I used to kind of work in her co-working space back in the day, and I want to have a conversation about co-working, what WeWork's been up to, especially there's new cases that are coming out of WeWork with the coronavirus, and then how her business is being affected. So. Noelle, thank you for taking on this call, and if you can just introduce yourself to everybody else and tell everybody what you do, etc.
Great. So my name's Noelle Stary. I own a co-working space in Woodbridge, New Jersey, and we actually just opened up two new locations, one in North Brunswick and one in East Brunswick over the last month. So one of our spaces has been open for 10 years and the other two are now only about 2 months in. So we're kind of seeing what's going to be happening on both sides of the environment right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is your one co-working office like opened still?
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a quick snapshot of what our places look like right now. One of our places has more open space, and so that one has been shut down totally for 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks fully closed. Our other two locations, because they have private closed door offices, we did decide to close the space to any drop-ins, any new members, and we've left it open more with the concept of if someone wants to go in and use private closed door office space, they can use that.
Okay, so basically it's previous members that's already been registered that are allowed into the co-working space, correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool,
Correct.
man. And you're not taking any more new registrants until this whole thing goes away, or if it does go away, right?
Yes. So for example, like some of the stuff that we saw, I think the thing that is most interesting to me right now is the speed at which the environment is changing is dramatically faster than what we would have thought. So, for example, in order to be more eco friendly, we had shifted from disposable cups to mugs. And when this kind of started kicking in, we said we need to put all the mugs away and go back to all single item usage.
Yeah.
So, we had placed all the orders. The orders came in this week. And some of our locations are ghost towns. So even though you're placing the order through Amazon and Amazon's turning around stuff quickly, your whole world is changing in the meantime. So we've seen stuff like that, or, with the assumption that people are going to be home and get tired of being home for a while, we figured once things slow down, we would see people saying, hey, I don't want to go back to Manhattan. I want something that's more in my town, something that's local, something where I can have private space. And we thought that we could fill that niche. But instead, as bigger locations are getting shut, we're getting a lot of inquiries coming through saying, can I take my whole team of 10 and bring them to your space? And in those situations, we are not accepting them because, again, we don't know where those people came from or where they traveled to or what they've got going on. A lot of our members that are already in the space, we have a little bit of a relationship with them. We know we're in a lot of communication with them. We know what's going on. And so it's been a little bit of it's been a challenge, just the speed at which things are changing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is crazy. Like, I think we just went up like 3,000 cases today, and it's just nuts. Like, we're almost about to be surpassing Germany, and we might be in the top five if anything. Like even for me today, like working, I can't work at home too long. Even like I just came back from the States, from Asia and Russia, and I'm stuck here and my mind is going crazy. Like I just came back from like a nice hour walk, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
I just need like a workspace that I can work in, like an environment where I feel like I can work. But again, this co-working space would be a good idea. It's just the fact that I don't think it is, right? So,
Yeah.
like today, I just read an article, I think today or yesterday, where WeWork is trying to control issues where people are getting the coronavirus and they don't know what to do now. They don't know if they need to shut down all their offices, one office, or how to contain it. So that's a huge situation in the co-working space. Like, and I know there is, like you're saying, the single-use items, right? And then how will people get to work if, let's say, the lockdown is gone? Like, will you still accept people? Is it going to be a hassle? Like, how are you going to juggle things? Like, what do you think that future is going to look like in, let's say, 2 weeks or even a month?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. Like, my opinion on the situation is changing on an hour by hour basis, as is, I believe, most people in most industries. Certain ideas that we had were, at some point, I think that the social distancing piece may not disappear. And so, I think, one of the things that I talk about in Jersey co-working environments is we're not Manhattan co-working spaces. I think a lot of those spaces are set up from a design standpoint where people are very tight and close together on long tables. Whereas I feel like in New Jersey, we have a little bit of a feeling of, hey, I like you, but I don't like you that much. Don't get that close to me. So our spaces are actually designed to have about 8 feet between spaces. And so we were thinking about different ideas of how can we stop people from being floaters? Like, we may not have floater opportunities where people can just come and drop in on a day and rotate around. We really want to try to have, or even if we did, we would want to have it in a really designated spot where we can kind of control how close people are sitting to each other. But the other piece to it is, part-timers tend to come in our location. Part-timers tend to come in with a laptop, right? I come with a laptop, I sit wherever I want,
Yeah,
I leave, and I can kind of bounce around. And what we really want to try to encourage going forward is, hey, if you're a part-time member, we really want you to kind of almost still pick a dedicated space, right?
got it. That
So
makes sense.
even
I
if
was
you're
just
not
gonna say that. Yeah,
so even if you're not going to be leaving, we really want you to try to say, hey, this is really still my spot. And we would just mark it as not available for other public people. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting with a lot of the ways that we've been building our locations is they're meant to be community-based spaces. So they are not 10,000 square feet of space. They're 3,500 square feet of space. They hold about 50 people to them. you know 35 people typically can go inside of rooms, private offices, and then our open space is open to about 15 or 20. So maybe we have to cut down how many people are on an open space platform. So I think a little bit of that's going to be shifting.
but let's say
And
like
then
you were saying before, like if a part time. Let's say I come in part time Monday and Thursday. For Tuesday and Wednesday and that Friday, will my dedicated space be given to somebody else, or is that just dedicated to me for even for that time being?
no, no, that space will still be yours.
Got it. So then, like,
Where
then on a financial standpoint, like, obviously this is coming at a loss, right?
Yeah.
And then hopefully down the line it picks up.
So I think that there's going to be a bunch of changes. The same way that we also do a lot of work with. I've been around a lot of work with restaurants and marketing for restaurants, and part of restaurants are how they make their money is can I get a few more
Turnover seats, right?
table, right?
Yeah,
Can I turn my tables? Can I get more people into my space? And instead, I think we're going to have to get a little more creative. Like, some of the stuff
yeah.
that I've been seeing coming out of the restaurant industry, but I can easily like transpose it is, restaurants where you're typically getting an entree, they're either selling an entree and then they're saying, oh, by the way, Friday you should have a pizza party. We're going to do a DIY pizza party that you can now take all of these ingredients we have and take it home. Or, hey, we're going to put together a great breakfast package so you can make your own pancakes, and we're going to send you jams and orange juice, and it's going to be a whole set, and you're going to take it. I think we're just going to start seeing different offerings. Like, actually, the spot that I think is going to be the hardest for us to recover is one of our locations has a 39-person training room.
Wow.
So if you're not allowed to put that many people in a space, then that part of real estate is going to have the biggest challenge, right? But one of the areas that we actually have been talking to that has been growing is our mail services. So a lot of people don't want to be managing their own mail anymore. They don't want to receive it. They don't want to
Okay.
open it. And so, can there be an opportunity to pick up mail? And then on our side, and we're still working through it, is what's the safest way to manage that mail? So that is an area that might start picking up, mail or
Interesting,
other
mail.
virtual services. Yeah.
So like like I would get mail like a virtual mailbox or just go to
Yes.
your office and then you would just hold it for me for pickup or
No, so great question. So there's a few different ways that you can manage mail. You can either have your mail sent and it can be held, and then you can eventually come and pick it up, or your mail can come, and if you get it notarized, through the platform that we have, then we can actually physically open the mail and scan it and send it to you. So you will be able
ah,
to actually receive and see all the mail that comes.
interesting. So I do use a service very similar to that, right? And where I've actually got a notarization and they I basically when I live overseas, right? I need to get mail. So I have a virtual mailbox. They open my mail, scan it, and I can just look at it online. So you'll have a platform very similar to that. Oh, okay.
Yep, and we already have it and it's existing. And one of the things that we've done is we've been reaching out to our colleagues and our tech platforms and saying, what else are you seeing happening? What else should we be providing? And when we talk to our mail provider, that is actually, they said every co-working space across the country is talking about this, and this is one of the biggest requests that they're getting at the moment.
I mean, that does make sense because I mean the co-working business model is very, I don't know, challenging right now just because of what's happening with WeWork and is it really a sustainable model? But that actually makes a lot of sense to have multiple, I guess, offices or multiple virtual mailboxes around the world or in the state. So,
Mhm.
what do you think about this WeWork situation to close everything off and you
Yeah.
know,
So I will tell you, it has absolutely been a challenge for us on a day to day basis. One of the things that is really important to us, and as an industry, it's really important, is, and you're seeing it with the gyms, is if someone says, hey, I'm not going to show up there, I'm just going to pull my membership, right? Like the options are, should people be pulling their memberships? Should people be freezing their membership? One of the things that I saw that a gym did that I really liked was they were doing, hey, we're going to shut. And for as long as we're closed, which we don't know what it's going to look like yet, we're going to give credit applied going
ah,
forward. So their
okay.
idea is not to stop the money from coming in. They'll start applying it as credits on the other side. So that's one idea. Another idea that we had was giving a 50% discount and just saying your freeze fee is 50% of your membership fee. And that at least holds you. And it's a way that we can at least sustain some dollars coming through during this time. And so we're trying to figure it out. There's a lot of pressure that comes when someone says, I'm paying for a membership, I want to be able to have access. Or if you have a closed door private office and you say, half of my stuff is still in the building, no one else is in the space, I still want to be able to have access to it. So I understand where WeWork is coming from with trying to make these tough decisions. I do know that with the announcement of having some positive tests, I think you have to shut certain spaces. They've got to get cleaned.
Like how often are you sanitizing or cleaning the office space? Like are you like once somebody leaves, are you like wiping it down real quick or like you're like fogging the whole office after like midnight?
So interesting about the fogging concept. I have been talking to some cleaning companies. We have not done fogging in our space. Um, I have been hearing that a lot of the gyms are doing that right before they shut. And the main reason that they're doing it is because they're saying it will kill everything. So,
Yeah.
we have a space that has live plants. The second you do
Oh,
that, you just killed half your environment.
yeah.
So we are cleaning all high touch point stuff. We are pretty much cleaning before and after people are in the space. Um, I we don't really have a lot of older people in the space, so
I
I'm
would
have a
assume a
little
lot of
bit of
younger people.
what?
I would assume a lot of younger people, you know, graphic designers,
We
all
do
that.
have a younger crowd that has been coming through. I think it's been a little bit of a challenge this week. A lot of schools are having their first week where kids are at home with parents. And
Uh,
so a lot of the parents or people who are in our space that might have kids, they're home trying to get used to what their new norm at home looks like, which is why I thought that it would be a few more weeks until we started seeing some heads pop through. But I think people on the East Coast get a little antsy and they want to
yeah, we
be
are,
able
we
to
are,
come
we
out.
are antsy people. We don't like being inside,
We are.
you know?
Yeah, no, we
So,
don't like being
yeah.
inside. So I think like the big challenge right now, and again with WeWork, I think they're doing the right decision by closing some of the spaces. I think being able to give your member an option that will um, keep them loyal to your brand is important, um, because if you start really losing members, it's basically like having a run on the stock market.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it is. It's crazy because then how do you get that customer back? And you have to follow up multiple times before they even come back, right? So the
yeah,
turnover is going to be harder, I think.
I
So,
think I think that that's going to be much harder. So, I if anyone's listening to this, they're a part of a space. I think the biggest thing is to say, you know what, we're all kind of in this together, and what we're really trying to do is just kind of maintain. And so, looking for some type of freeze or some type of really big discount, I think is really important. I think understanding that this probably isn't a permanent situation, but it's a transitional situation. Try to work together with your space, try to work together with your space and your members, and come up with a policy that's going to be financially beneficial to both. Right. I think that that's really the piece that you're looking for is, maybe not everyone's getting ahead, but it should at least give people the opportunity to maintain the level or maintain some ability of float. I think that's the
yeah,
most
I agree.
important
Because
piece.
I guess I'm assuming the rent on your side is way more than you probably need, I don't know, X amount of coworkers to be in your place constantly or sign up, etc., you know?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen just because even the restaurants here, you can only do pickup. Like I
Mm-hmm.
walked in a coffee shop today, and they was like, "Yo, can you pay with a credit card?" And I'm like, "What? Is this serious?" I went to the grocery
Oh,
store. They gave me gloves. I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here?" You know what I mean? So, but it is getting to a point where community-driven places like co-working is being affected, I think, much more heavily, and that business model is being truly affected. And what you're saying and doing is trying to adjust to the situation until everything
yeah.
blows over, you know?
Yeah. And I think the other thing that we're really trying to do is, I think that we pride the concept of co-working as being a community-based environment. And so we want to say, hey, as a community, can we give other, virtual resources or access or, other ways to build community still, because for the people that are still at home, I think that they're like,
Dude, I'm
part of
going
what they like about
nuts.
the space is being able to connect with other people. And so I think that we're going to try to look to what are some online ways that we can have people connect, or at least kind of get them focused on planning for where we're going in the future, and bringing them in and having them a part of the conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. So how long do you think this situation's gonna last, you think?
My personal opinion is probably 2 to 3 months.
Oof,
So
man.
we're mid March,
Wow.
probably end of May. I kind of see this as a 2 to 3 month window. I think the big thing for co working spaces, because of how people are utilizing space together, is, we talk a lot about how do we flatten the curve.
Of course.
I think, as the curve continues to go up, co working spaces are going to need to shut down more. You'll see more shut down. And then once we kind of get over the hump, whatever that hump is, whether it's a very sharp hump or a longer hump, then I think people are going to say, okay, we're on the tail end. I'm a little more comfortable coming out now. So it's ramping up the conversation and letting people know, hey, when you come back in space, this is what it's going to be like. This is what your new environment's going to be. And so, again, having the transparency and the conversations with people earlier, I think is going to be an important piece to this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially knowing that your community knows what you're doing, you know, disinfecting, when it's going to be open, how many people can be open to the space too, and all that. So, well, Noel, thank you for having me or having
Thank
you on
you.
this call. So I
Thanks.
appreciate it that much for explaining everything that you're having with your co-working space and all that. And can you talk about your website real quick and co-working space and location for everybody to
Sure.
know?
Yep. So once again, our website is coworkinginjersey.com. We have three locations, one in Woodbridge, one in North Brunswick, one in East Brunswick. So we're right in the heart of Middlesex County. And part of having spaces right in your local town is, again, you're not going too far from home, right? You can pop in, pop out, get what you need, get 2 hours of silence or a few hours of silence. And go from there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even though it's too silent here, I need to go to a fucking coffee shop sometime. But yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's it. There's some information for you about co-working. I hope it's been a little bit valuable. Noel, thank you for being on this call, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for providing information to any of the co-workers, co-working companies out there, and hopefully this advice will help you through these I Am Legend times. You know what I mean? So, thank you again.